This is the one Desteni quality jam. Going out to every child, woman, and man. Special dedication on the twilight of the idols. The downward spiral and the countdown that is final. Because we know and we understand. Almighty God is a living man. This is the one Desteni quality.
Hi, this is Jack again. So I was where the Anunnaki placed themselves as per agreement with the Atlanteans in the Earth's core, around there, and the planet was out in the universe but not far, quite near to Earth itself, and interdimensional though. So what they had learned from the Atlanteans was that everything in its essence, that which it actually consists of, the foundation, is sound. And the development of gold itself was done through a specific method of sound frequency manifestation. The tools specifically they used to develop gold was through sound frequency resonance. And so they tried an interesting method which they hadn't considered previously when they had that other planet, the one with the which I told you about, the first one. Didn't take into consideration is the following. They don't actually have to be there the whole time. They don't have to assign people of their race, beings of their race, to remain there the whole time and manifest gold. In the specific way they did it. They're actually able to have gold automatically manifest in the earth and then come back now and then and thus obtain the gold when necessary. So they placed in crystals. Now these specific crystals were given to them by the Atlanteans, which was the manifestation of the specific sound frequency which they required to manifest this gold from. And they placed it into four corners of the world inside the earth. Now, if you take the earth and you draw like a square inside it, those 4 points exactly in the center was where they placed these crystals with a specific sound resonance and sound frequency, which would then specifically align that which is necessary within the core of the earth to manifest gold. And they then designed a specific grid line in the earth. Now this grid line was where accordingly this gold would manifest inside the earth as the earth. And that's exactly how it happened. And then all they were required to do was, of course, dig up. And to a certain extent, we'll get there too in a moment. So, firstly, it wasn't manifested in terms they didn't need to dig it up. They merely just came and fetched it interdimensionally. They were actually able to, it's like sticking your hand through a wall and then manifesting that there. Let's say you're building a wall, a cement wall, and in the center of that wall you're placing in a gold piece. And you build it, it's dried, everything. Then you have someone basically reaching in, grabbing a hold of that gold piece, pulling out their hand with the gold piece, and the wall, everything still remains the same. That's basically how it was done. But it was not yet manifested as this physical manifestation. It was reasonably, but not completely. Everything was merely sound, movement. So, then, now you're probably asking, were there trees? Were there animals? Was there, what should I call it? Plants, flowers, insects. Yes and no. The Atlanteans themselves, okay, inhabited this earth because of the water. But it wasn't water, it was sound movement in a manifested expression. And in terms of what you see now as trees and plants were interesting. The Atlanteans would take their child expressions. There was a manifested land form, yes. That was that which basically stabilized this entire planet in its manifested expression. Otherwise you'd have basically this planet being water and it just fell infinitely, which they didn't want. So the earth to a certain extent contained the water, and contained the manifested form of earth. You had the central point, which is the core of the earth, which you know of, which was there for gravitation, of course. And all these things the Atlanteans placed in. Because there are many planets in the galaxy then that didn't have a core we were able to manifest on. So they existed on the planet but interdimensionally. So their manifestations were interdimensionally. I'd say that Earth was the only planet where gravitation existed. Because of the Atlanteans. They were very wise. And so that's also, it was from that gravitation. Now you're asking, where does manifestation actually come from? Where does this physical form come from? From the Earth's core. Because of gravitation, because of that gravitation point in the Earth's core, as the Earth's core. Excuse my definitions of specific words, but in terms of, I'm completely going back to that moment where I observed everything and learned everything. And so these definitions and such definitions didn't really exist, so I'm explaining it as best I'm able to have you kind of comprehend and understand what went on, what was going on. So the actual manifestation of this world as it is was because of the Earth's core, the gravitation principle. Why? Because what am I able to take as example? You have those things children play with that you kind of pull out, you string it out. It's a round circular kind of a plaything, and then you can play with it up and down, up and down. So let's say, for instance, you have this thing stretched out. That would be basically, and it looks different. It looks individual in its expression. Then, in terms of the Earth's core, that brought that all of this galaxy and universe's components together into one, which is compression. It causes compression. Okay, this is Jack. I'll continue in my next interview.